Imagine waking up to the sound of helicopters overhead or soldiers marching through your city, but not because there was a natural disaster or a foreign threat, but because the president decided that your protest was too dangerous. And this is exactly what's happening in LA. If you're a student of our history, you know that this sort of thing is not new. From the schoolhouse steps of Little Rock to the bloody bridges of Selma, federal government has often stepped into the streets of America, and not always on the side of justice. Sometimes troops came to uphold your constitutional rights, and other times they came to silence them. So join us today while we talk about the times the National Guard has been deployed on your streets. And if you like stories like this, you can find more stories like this at onemikehistory.com. If you like audio-only episodes, you can find my podcast wherever you get your podcasts. But without further ado, let's get started. Recently, President Trump shockingly sent almost 2,000 National Guard troops straight into the heart of LA without the California governor's consent, claiming that the presence was urgently needed against insurrectionists protesting immigration raids. Immediately, community leaders and activists and everyday Californians stood up, calling out what they saw as a direct threat to the hard-earned freedoms and the sacrificed right for peaceful protest. California Governor Gavin Newsom echoed the voices of community leaders and swiftly opposed what he called federal overreach, declaring it an abuse of presidential authority and a dangerous precedent that harms all communities, particularly marginalized ones. California quickly took legal action in an attempt to push back against what they perceived as a misuse of military power. But if you look closer, Black folks, we recognize a familiar struggle. Black communities have long experienced federal power being deployed as a political display, often suppressing voices commanding justice and equality, from the freedom riders who faced federal troops in 1961 to most recently Black Lives Matter activists confronting military tactics. This causes a recurring question that emerges. Who holds the true authority? Is it the people in the streets or some politician in a faraway office? But to better understand this, we need to take a step back, all the way back to 1957 in Little Rock, Arkansas. A few years earlier, in 1954, the Supreme Court's landmark Brown versus the Board of Education decision declared segregated schools unconstitutional and fundamentally reshaped civil rights as we know it. Yet, despite this firm federal mandate, resistance persisted in southern states determined to preserve segregation and racial inequality. 3 years later, in 1957, a school integration crisis erupted in Little Rock, Arkansas, when Governor Orville Flavis defied federal authority and summoned the state's National Guard to physically block 9 Black students, who now are known as Little Rock 9, from gaining entry into the previously all-white Central High School. Amidst escalating tensions, President Dwight Eisenhower decisively responded to Governor Flavis' defiance, dramatically asserting his federal authority. Eisenhower famously placed the National Guard units under federal control and went further still by deploying another 1,000 paratroopers from the elite 101 Airborne Division to escort the 9 Black students to class. This visual imagery was unmistakable. Armed soldiers marching the students through an American city to safeguard them as they seek equality in education. But Eisenhower's message resonated nationwide, explicitly framing racial equality as a fundamental issue of federal law, larger than local governance' attempts to resist and defy, and unequivocally making it clear that the nation's military might would be used, if necessary, to enforce civil rights. Less than a decade later, a similar crisis would unfold in Selma, Alabama, as activists marched peacefully towards Montgomery to protest widespread voter suppression that had prevented Black Americans from exercising their constitutionally protected voting rights. Throughout the early 60s, civil rights activists had fought tirelessly against entrenched voter suppression tactics that had blocked Black Americans from meaningfully participating in the political process, particularly in southern states. When peaceful demonstrators marched from Selma towards Alabama's state capital of Montgomery to draw national attention to the widespread racial injustice and the denial of voting rights, Alabama state troopers responded with shocking violence, brutally attacking the marchers in a moment that is infamously called Bloody Sunday. Despite national outrage, such a blatant brutality against peaceful protesters simply demanding their constitutional voting guarantees, Alabama's governor, George Wallace, continued to refuse assurances of safety or protection for these marchers from further harm. In response, Lyndon B. Johnson swiftly moved to employ federal authority by federalizing the Alabama National Guard and deploying federal troops to ensure safe passage for the more than 50,000 determined marchers as they embarked on a historic journey from Selma to Montgomery. Johnson's actions reverberated across the nation, ultimately leading to Congress a few short months later passing the landmark Voting Rights Act Bill of 1965, legislation that would fundamentally alter America's political life and greatly expanding voter protections and enfranchising millions of African American citizens and strengthening grassroots participation in our democratic process. These pivotal events like Little Rock in 1957 and Selma in 1965 saw presidents explicitly wield their federal authority not simply in moments of crisis, but specifically in service of clear constitutional mandates from public school integration to voting rights against entrenched local resistance. Yet, importantly, not all federal interventions have triggered such contentious clashes between state authority and federal powers. For instance, just 2 years later in Detroit, persistent social and economic inequalities ignited an outbreak of racial unrest in the streets of Detroit. Overwhelmed by the scale of rioting, destruction, and chaos, Governor George Romney sought aid, appealing to President Johnson to deploy military forces to help restore order and safety to the city of Detroit. Decades later, in 1992, the LA riots similarly prompted California Governor Pete Wilson to directly appeal to federal intervention to help manage the extensive unrest following the contentious Rodney King verdicts. Mass outrage and anger exploded into devastating riots all over Los Angeles, leaving the city overwhelmed and calling for immediate federal assistance. Despite these desperate moments of turmoil and overwhelmed governors explicitly requesting federal military intervention as a critical lifeline to restore order, protect the public, and support strained local law enforcement, unlike moments of fierce conflict over civil rights and constitutional guarantees, these instances did not trigger a fundamental dispute over states' rights versus federal supremacy. Instead, state leaders openly recognized their own limitations and willingly surrendered authority when pushed beyond their own capability to maintain safety and civil order. But if you fast forward to LA today, unlike Eisenhower and Johnson stepping in to defend basic civil rights and constitutional rights, or governors pleading for immediate federal assistance to help as their city burned, President Trump intervened directly against the wishes of the California officials, citing lawlessness amidst protests that he labeled as insurrectionary. But California authorities saw a fundamentally legitimate expression of dissent. Californians argued passionately that this is not Selma or Little Rock or even Detroit or LA in 1992. Rather, this was a dangerous flexing of federal muscle, a challenging of the boundaries of federal authority and state control without a clear moral imperative present like the civil rights struggles of the past. Ultimately, the drama that is unfolding in LA serves as a stark reminder that America has always wrestled fiercely with a balance between states and federal government, military power and civilian protest, and freedom and authority. Each time presidents have federalized the National Guard, they have reshaped the balance and determined whose rights are protected and whose freedoms count and how far that power can reach. As debates flare over the Insurrection Act and the core relationship between the citizens, government, and presidents, America once again is forced to reckon with the foundational question of democracy. Who protects the people when rights and liberty and justice hang in the balance? Thank you. This has been One My Black History. I'm your host, Country Boy, and this has been The Enemy at the Gates. If you like stories like this, you can find more stories like this at onemichistory.com. If you like audio-only episodes, you can find my podcast wherever you get your podcasts. Also, I have a Substack. It is linked below. I would love for you to join me. I write new articles almost every week. I would like to thank all my financial contributors. Without you, none of this could be possible. And I love you all. Peace.